Okay, so like I said, there's two methods of doing these paragraphs, and in this video I'm going to go through method one. This is the one which I personally quite like, and the one I tend to use, although the other method is just as valid. So this diagram comes from the textbook by Haywood, and it's got an overview of the essay structure. So you've got your introduction, which we discussed in the previous video, where the main thing to do is to state your argument. So we are arguing that cats are better than dogs. Section 1, this means paragraph. He's called them sections for some reason. These are 3 paragraphs. So paragraph 1, which he's called section 1, you then start out with an argument to say why cats are better than dogs. You then do a matching counter argument, i.e. dogs are better than cats. And then at the end you say, but actually, although the counter argument about dogs does have some merit, actually cats are better because. And you do that 3 times and then you have the conclusion. So on this video we're going to go through this particular method. We're going to look at an example and see some of the strengths and weaknesses of doing it this way. So like I said, we've got our main argument is that cats are better than dogs. Okay, and so because they don't need looking after. This is the theme of paragraph 1. Okay, so paragraph 1 is all going to be about how much looking after cats and dogs need and why that makes cats better. So evidence I'm going to use is the fact that my own cat Zengi doesn't need taking for walks. He kind of looks after himself in that respect. He's been left for 24 hours and was fine. Okay, and this is very different to a dog, isn't it? Because for a dog, you know, you can't go away for a day and think, oh, the dog will be fine. Even when you're at work, you'll be thinking, oh, what's the dog doing? I hope the dog's okay. Whereas with the cat, you can generally think he's probably be fast asleep on the bed all day, wouldn't he? So it's less of a worry. However, you could say that actually dogs are actually better because the fact you have to take them for walks and things is actually good for the health of their owners. And actually, you know, with a cat, you can stay at home and eat crisps all day, but with a dog, you actually at least got to go for a walk, haven't you? And so that makes them better. And then finally, why I reject that view is that actually in the modern world, many people are quite busy. You know, it's not fair for me, for example, working all day to have a dog because it would feel neglected. And therefore, cats are actually better than dogs because in the modern world where people are busy, people at work, you don't have to worry about them, unlike with a dog. Dogs might be better for retired people, possibly. So that is the basic structure of my paragraph. Now I've written it all out, there it all is. I have sent this email is on Teams, so you can look at it in your own time and leisure, but I'm going to go through this paragraph bit by bit. So let's deconstruct it. So the opening sentence of the paragraph is really important. And then for your first paragraph, I think it's good to say the main argument. And obviously within the paragraph, you're going to explain why it's the main argument. Obviously, other paragraphs you can't have the main argument. You can have the main argument once, can't you? So paragraph 2 and paragraph 3 would probably start with a further argument or something like that. So the main argument, and it also says to the examiner, the person marking it, that you've thought about this, you've thought about the ordering, and again, it's giving good vibes for the person marking the essay, which again, you want to make friends with that person, don't you, who's marking the essay. The next bit, cats make better pets than dogs. That's the exact phrase from the question. Again, that's quite good practice as well. It makes sure that you're keeping very much of what the question's asked. And again, it's that kind of discipline of, you know, really focused on the question. You're not going to wander off. And then the argument we're going to use. Cats need less looking after than dogs. And this is the general theme of the entire paragraph, isn't it? Cats are better because they don't need looking after. Okay, and again, there's that comparison there with dogs in there. Cats less looking after than dogs. So we've got the theme of the paragraph, we've got this as being the main argument, and we've also got a little bit of that comparison between the two being hinted at. Okay, so this is the main argument. So this is the first half of the paragraph. So we start out with unlike dogs, so again a comparative start, which is AO2. Unlike dogs who need walking twice a day, cats don't need taking for walks. Okay, with a cat flap they can go in and out as they please. This makes them ideal for busy people as they can be reassured that their cat will be fine if they have to stay late at work or go away for the day, unlike a dog. So this bit in blue is kind of an explanation about why cats are better. You know, they don't need looking after, people don't need to worry about them. And there's also a little bit of comparison being made with dogs in there as well. Then the next section is the AO1 knowledge, isn't it? Paul, for example, at Easter left Zengi on his own for a day. Don't tell the RSPCA. Okay, and there again he left the cat again when he went to see his brother in Cheltenham. So there's two examples here, and that word I can't say this word, similarly. Okay, it's a good comparison word, and it's good practice to have two examples for things done that way. Again, it shows that comparison, it shows knowledge, and the example quite like those two examples as well. Okay, and then I've got he knew Zengi would be fine and didn't need to worry about him, which again, that might have to be in blue actually. It's a bit of an explanation, isn't it, about why these examples show that cats are better than dogs. And given that most people are busy lives, this is a big advantage to having a cat rather than a dog. So that bit, and the bit where it starts with he knew Zengi would be fine, that really should be blue. This is all AO2. This is saying why cats are better. Okay, why that example shows that cats are better than dogs, and why that example fits into my argument. And then the bit in green is our mini conclusion, which is AO3. Quite a good word to use before a conclusion is either the word so or therefore. If you see the word therefore, you immediately think of a conclusion going to pop up. So therefore, cats are better than dogs as they need less looking after, which means that busy people don't need to worry about them too much. So it's a conclusion with a bit of an explanation in there as well, isn't it? You know, which means that busy people don't need to worry. So it's doing AO2 and AO3. So therefore is always a really good word to use when you're doing a conclusion. Then the second half comes next, which should be a similar length to the first half. It shouldn't be like one word, it should be a similar length. And this is the view to say that actually dogs are better than cats on this issue of, you know, how much looking after they need. However, it's often quite a good word to use for starting these counter arguments, and I quite like a phrase like a weakness of this view. So a weakness of this view is that dogs are better than cats, basically. Okay. Then I've said, however, weakness of this view is that by spending time to look after a dog, and especially by taking them for walks, this can improve the health of the person who owns the dog. So it's very clearly going to be a counter argument. It's saying that dogs are better than cats, and in blue it's saying why, isn't it? It improves people's health. I've then got two examples. My neighbour got a dog called Rover. That's a bit of a lie, he doesn't. I can't remember what his dogs are called. And he says his health has improved as he can take his dog for a walk twice a day, and he also meets new friends. The same was also true of Mavis, who now enjoys taking her dog for a walk. So there's two examples there, Mavis and my other neighbour, and it's got stuff about, you know, health benefits from doing it. Then in blue is saying why that's good. Obviously these improvements in my neighbour's life would not have happened if he'd only had a cat. I think in reality I just had a bit more in blue here, and by taking the dogs for a walk improves people's health and therefore makes them happier or something like that. It just needs a little bit more there. But you've got this explanation, AO2, about why those examples show that dogs are actually better than cats. And then we've got the mini conclusion, therefore. Therefore, this would suggest that looking after a dog, unlike a cat, that's the comparison, can be beneficial to people, and therefore dogs are better than cats. So again, there's a mini conclusion. We had a mini conclusion when we did our first argument. We've then come to the counter argument, all within the same paragraph, and again we've got this little mini conclusion. And then the final bit we now need to do is to say why we think this view here, dogs being better than cats, is rubbish, and why the original view that cats are superior is actually the best argument, the argument you should take home, basically. So let's have a look at this. This is what I call the counterpoint. So you're basically saying why that counter argument we've just done is rubbish. So whilst this view has some credit, so I'm not saying it's completely flawed, you know, it is good that dogs, you know, do force people out. I'm not saying, you know, all dogs should be shot or anything. It is actually a flawed argument. It's a weak argument, whatever phrase you want to use. And now I'm saying why. Because the old and the infirm cannot look after a dog by taking them for a walk. So actually it's not fair if you're old and infirm having a dog. And also most people in Britain today don't have time to look after a dog. So this is saying why my original view, the fact that cats are good for old people who can't go for walks, and it's good for young people or people who are working because they can't go for walks, is actually better. Therefore, conclusion word, it is clear that for people today, Cats make much better pets than dogs because they require less looking after than dogs, which is better with the busy lives that most people lead today. So it's AO3 and it's AO2. And I've said why I think the argument about dogs being better isn't very good. Yes, you take them for walks, but actually most people don't have time. So I've engaged with that argument and I've said, I hear what you're saying, I'm hearing dogs are good for people's health, but actually that's a weak view, and my original view is actually better because most people don't have the time. Okay, I hope that kind of makes sense, and you'd have to do that twice more for 2 other paragraphs. Again, if you're a bit of a slow writer, perhaps just 2 paragraphs. It's better to do 2 of them like this, with this detail and this kind of phraseology or whatever, than to do 3 which are more like bullet points. You'll get far more marks doing it just 2 like this. Ideally you do 3, but I know people do have different writing speeds. Okay, so as I said, all you need to do now is repeat it twice more. Okay, so paragraph 2, I might do one about cats being more affectionate or as affectionate. Paragraph 3, I might do one about cats being better for old people perhaps. And after that, we've then got the second method, method 2. Obviously, which I haven't put onto this PowerPoint slide, you then at the end have to write a conclusion, which I might even do a 3rd video of. Anyway, the next video is on method 2, so here's a little preemption look at it. Okay.